Hey guys, so it's here bringing you another video. Welcome back to, well, not Challenge or Spectate, High Rank Spectate. And apologies that this is probably the main video of the day. I'll say I've been streaming now, and today was supposed to be a small stream, but I've been streaming for well over 4 hours, maybe even 5, I don't know. I think 4. And it's been a terrible league day. Like, they do happen. You know, wherever you work, I'm sure you just have one of those days that it's just not productive. You can't get stuff done. Today was one of those days. I also think I've got music on. I can turn it off. It just was poop. You know, it was just one of those days that every game just was a bad game, not a great video. So we're doing this to kind of, well, have a nice video to do. I love doing these. You guys seem to like them as well. And we're watching Lee Sin. The reason why we're watching Lee Sin is I love Lee Sin. I know some people don't, but I really do. And he obviously got a bit of a buff recently. So this obviously is maybe going to kind of go to the question, is Lee Sin back? Like, is he worth playing again? We'll say, obviously, the whole point of Lee Sin and why we're watching this is Lee Sin is designed to be more early game than late. He obviously does have utility in late game, but his damage is more early game. So if you're not really snowballing the early on Lee Sin is where you're going to struggle. So naturally we are going to watch a Lee Sin that does well in the early game because that's the whole point of Lee. And we can see if there's any things that he does to try and snowball from the early. But he's going from red buff straight over to blue, which that's quite weird. We'll also mention, someone has already pointed out, Doran's Blade Zoe. That's legit because she's against a Kassadin. And obviously Kassadin has a Q magic shield. When he presses Q on a Chevy, he gets a magic shield. Well, he could get auto-attacked quite heavily to death. That's how you beat Kassadin. Everyone says, like, oh, you have to play an AD champion, and you have to beat him pretty early. So that's kind of what Zoe is doing herself, is she's just having a higher AD impact in the early game. Quite smart if you actually think about it. But he's avoiding AoE camps. He's going single camp red, single camp blue, and then single gromp. Hits the level 3 from that, and now is making his way already to bot lane to look for his first gank of the game. These two, or Leona at least in level 1. Enemy team haven't noticed yet. Caitlyn is a little bit late, potentially. She flashes. Lee Sin going for it. Does land the W, does the center. But Lee Sin going way too deep into the tower and will back off. Caitlyn being a little bit greedy there, but the tower is in play, and Leona does go down. So that is an unsuccessful gank, you could say. Maybe a little bit too forced. And that will be advantage to the blue team and disadvantage to Lee. Zoe in mid lane, though, has made the Kassadin go back already, forcing him to TP back to mid lane. And Riven also dies in top. Scuttle spawning at 315. Lee Sin going straight on it. Hopefully will regen a little bit with his W as well. Obviously, he's got red buff too. And yeah, not the best start. And I did mention, you know, this Lee Sin's going to be doing quite well. But yeah, not the best start already. Senna just giving the Lee Sin the opportunity to come in with the W. Hides the Lee Sin with her, I think it's the E. And Lee Sin will pick up that kill. Zoe on the back foot to a Rek'Sai gank, while Lee Sin not really doing that much. Can Zoe get away? Looking likely. Does get hit by the Q, but that's about that. Meanwhile, Leona chases down the Lux and also kills the Lux. That's a bit crazy. Lee Sin not going to push it. Maybe going to be looking for the Rek'Sai if the Rek'Sai is now in Lee Sin's territory. Maybe even farming this. Yes, okay, so Rek'Sai might be biting off a bit more. That's a bad Q. Biting off a bit more than he can chew. Lee Sin going to take the farm. Now a fight's happening. Rek'Sai completely out of position. Going to try and escape, most likely. With the loop around, Lee Sin may continue, but the knockup is going to happen on the Lee. Kassadin obviously low health. Lee Sin and Zoe fighting. The sleep has happened. Lee Sin actually woke the Kassadin up, but it's okay. Zoe goes down. Lee Sin continuing to fight and gets himself a double kill. So this is where, again, the whole Lee Sin point is you should be looking for fights in the early game. This is Ren as a Lee. You have to be fighting people, and that's what he's doing. And obviously as well, you also want to be trying to beat a Kassadin in the early game too. So that's also a very nice thing down, like, well, getting him killed. And the Kassadin himself didn't get the kill. Meanwhile, Lee Sin doing a bit of counter jungling when he knows it's safe to do so. The Rek'Sai is dead. And yeah, not a bad start. First base is going to have nearly, well, 18.5k gold. Well, not 18.5. 1.85k gold. I said that in a weird way. So he's going to get the Stalkers and also the Warhammer straight away, which is quite a lot of early strength with also the the refillable potion. So a really nice start for Lee Sin. This is what we're looking for. Most likely, if I had to guess, you'll now probably see the Lee Sin kind of go more farm orientated to get now level 6, because that's now the big next power spike. And you obviously can't get behind an XP to a Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is now also straight away ganking, and the enemy team get a double kill. So the Rek'Sai is still doing good too. It's not like the one jungler's doing good, one's doing bad. They're actually quite even so far this game. Both being involved in 3 kills, both level 5, and both with pretty even farm. So yeah, Lee Sin heading down. Again, not letting this XP and farm go to waste. It's literally just going to go, like, if no one gets this, then it's literally just dying to a tower. So at least Lee Sin is absorbing this XP and gold. So that is a good thing. And that is one thing, again, as a jungler that you can do, is if one of your teammates dies, well, you make sure you go and get the XP or gold, if it's okay to do so. Enemy team from that kills, though, they do pick up the first dragon, which is unfortunate for the Lee, because again, usually you'd want a Lee Sin to have dragon priority in the early game, but they lose it because the bot lane deaths. And he will now hit level 6, and expect Lee Sin to now look for more aggression. So just a bit of farming, now level 6, you might see Lee invade and actively hunt the enemy. Maybe even a dive is incoming, kick into Kassadin, and then follow with a Q potentially. Level 5 Kassadin is in trouble. A lot of people mid. Lee Sin picks up the kill. Enemy, also red team, can escape pretty easily. Zoe hits the sleep. Nearly gets queued by the Lux, but she's okay. And that is a nice kill on Kassadin. Very aggressive play, though. Very aggressive. Lee Sin going to be furthering maybe some counter jungling. The game itself is still pretty close. Gold-wise, red team is only ahead by 100, 200 gold right now. And arguably, the enemy team's got Caitlyn Kassadin, so I would not want to go against that in late game. But it's going okay so far. Again, not really sure the strength of Wukong top, if I'm honest, right now. Lee Sin in the area misses his Q. And if you, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, we are watching one of the best Lee Sins on EUS. They do get the kill on the Wukong. This guy particularly, is currently a master Lee Sin main. Has played 118 games of Lee Sin, is currently rank 4 on EU West of Lee Sin, and has basically a 69% win rate in 118 games. So some type of smurf, most likely, maybe. The weird thing is unless they play a lot of flex, the weird thing is that they have 117 games of Lee Sin, which is quite a lot of games, but their total amount of games played is 589. So this player must play, and their next champion is Wukong with 35 games. So this player has probably played a lot of champions to get to that amount of total games played. Which is interesting too. So it's like a Lee Sin main, but, is good at playing other things too, which is always nice to see. Zoe is continuing the pressure on Kassadin, but again, the ticking time bomb of Kassadin is going to be ticking, and if you don't punish him enough, he will probably eventually take over the game. Rek'Sai in the area, Ignite coming down, Lee Sin may look for the kick, gets a nice Q, Zoe going to go for it, Lee Sin gets a kick, little bit of a weird play happening there, they do a bit more damage, and Lee Sin is probably going to have to back off in the end. It was a good idea. Rek'Sai really weirdly going back in this. Enemy team re-engaging. Rek'Sai ultimate coming through. Senna ultimate comes through the shield. Not enough, though. And Rek'Sai will get the kill. Zoe gets a kill on the Kassadin. So the trade isn't too bad. But now the Rek'Sai 3-1-1 also has a bounty. Riven is looking for the Rek'Sai. Presume the Rek'Sai has already gone, though. Yeah, kind of crazy game so far. Very close. So this, the dominant Lee Sin performance that I was expecting, he's 4-1-2, having a pretty good game, but it's not like this is an absolute snowball so far. What's happening this game is top lane is slightly in Wukong's favour, bot lane is slightly in Caitlyn's favour, as you'd probably expect, and Kassadin is getting bullied a little bit in the early game by a Zoe that went Doran's Blade. So everything so far is to be expected, with no actual big snowball, which is good. Lee Sin finishing off the blue, not quite giving it to the Zoe yet. One thing you'll notice is because jungle XP is so terrible right now, junglers really don't like giving their buffs up in the early game at all, which I would say I do not blame them. Jungle XP is in the worst it's been in quite a long time, or actually this whole season really, and it feels terrible as a jungler to keep up with other people if the game's going because the catch-up mechanic of jungle's gone. a lot of the XP is neutral camps, so if you're not getting both scuttles or anything like that, you're going to be behind. Junglers both fighting. Rek'Sai 1 level down. Lee Sin does look like to have the advantage. Can they land the Q? Yes, they can. Kassadin making their way over. Don't think they would be able to kill the Lee Sin now. The kick comes through into the Zoe with then the Lee Sin Q. Lovely double kill by Lee Sin, and that's what you'd expect from one of the best Lee Sin players. Nothing incredibly fancy, just nice Lee Sin play. Because that's one thing you'll always notice as well. The best Lee Sin players in the world can pull off insect kicks whenever they want, flash kicks whenever they want. But most of the time, it's just not needed. Usually, the players that like do an insect kick or flash kick literally every single time are the kind of mediocre Lee Sins. Like, you know, the platinum, the diamond Lee Sins, that like that's what they think Lee Sin's about. He's not. Like, playing more basic is actually okay. Rek'Sai, you know, is very much in this Lee Sin's grill this game. He is ulting. Lee Sin is just sticking on it. Has been stolen by the enemy team, and Lee Sin now has to just back off. And yeah, Rek'Sai stole the Rift. That's unfortunate for Lee. Kassadin is on the hunt as well. Think he'll be okay. Redemption is going to heal the Lee Sin up a little bit, and that will be that. That must have been a Zoe redemption, by the way, because I just watched... I looked at the Leona items. I was like, wait a minute, she doesn't have it. But then I remembered there was a Zoe in the game. So that was an unfortunate steal. Well done to the Rek'Sai, obviously, for stealing that. This is quite a jungle fighty game. Neither jungler is trying to give, you know, the other one any room. Lee Sin does obviously have a slight advantage right now, even with XP. Gold-wise, Lee Sin's on 5.8. Rek'Sai's on 4.7, so there is just over 1,000 gold lead just in the jungle right now, and that does mean the total gold lead to red team is not 1,000 gold. So there are some people, like the enemy team has got an advantage in bot lane. They have an advantage in top lane. Mid lane they don't, but in most areas this game is a slight advantage to blue team. But maybe now, like with that kill on Kassadin, he is 0-5 by the way. And this, again, this is how you beat Kassadin. You have to beat him in the early game, and he's 0-5, so thankfully they're beating him. And honestly, a big thing that isn't Lee Sin orientated this game, that Doran's Blade trick I actually think is a really good idea, and many of you, if you're laning against Kassadin, maybe take that as a pretty good thing to do. He can't really do much to auto attacks in the early game. That's why people say AD champions counter Kassadin. Anyway, enemy team with a Rift Herald, by the way, all the way at the tier 2. Riven fighting now, though, gets one kill. Bit of an odd dive, if I'm honest. Zoe on her way. Lovely predicted sleep. Is landing it with then the Riven damage, with the Zoe damage, and they do get the kill off. Anyway, Leona Lee Sin doing a bit of an invade on the enemy jungle, taking the red. Now the enemy team going to be getting ganked. Enemy team know this. They see it coming, so they go purely aggressive because they probably know we're dead anyway. So they're like, if we get this kill, then maybe it's not too bad. The enemy team is coming. Can they get the kill? Not looking likely. Lee Sin doing one kill. Kicks the Caitlyn just to kind of misposition her out of the way. And both of them will die. Nice also survival by Senna, who obviously hasn't been able to do too much this game with, well, she's doing ults basically. A lot of her assists are coming through from her ults around the map, which is good. But Lee Sin will pick himself up another kill or two there. I think Leona got one of them. Item build for Lee Sin, pretty standard by the looks of it. Warrior, Stalker's Blade, looks like he's going into a Black Cleaver. It's the standard start for Lee Sin that has been around for like years. It's what I did when I was a Lee Sin main, basically back in, I want to say season 3, season 4, I even went that build. I don't think it's changed. Leona E just missing, the Rek'Sai, Zoe on the back foot, Kassadin trying to do some damage. Lee Sin missing his Q, but Zoe doing a bit of damage in the end. Not sure where Wukong is, so the Riven is being, well, the Riven I think was thinking about roaming down, or maybe she was like scouting the red, which Wukong is currently not on. Wukong is here, so hello. Lee Sin just runs out the way with his Q, and the monkey can't get anything off. Zoe is definitely in trouble, though, and she will go down. Bit weird that the Zoe didn't notice that time, or like the whole time. And, yeah, Wukong gets himself a free kill there, which is nice for him. Lee Sin maybe looking for a pick or a kick, either or. Opportunity. What can they do? Lee Sin going for it. He kicks the Wukong. He's in his ultimate, though. Wukong with his double ultimate happening. Lee Sin has to flash out the way. And that will be the end of that. They go in a slight disadvantage, 4v3. So that was a interesting, a fight that they shouldn't really have taken anyway. Lee Sin trying to take the blue buff. The Caitlyn of all people is trying to steal the blue. Caitlyn ultimate comes through. He smites, it gets healed, and he'll be completely fine. Can he stop the Caitlyn taking it? Nope. So an AD carry is taking the blue buff. She's stealing it. Riven is on the hunt. Probably shouldn't go that crazy because she's going to get outnumbered. She stuns. She's going to try and avoid. She might even try to turn, or she's going to try and run away. She actually mucks it up. She does get 1 kill, though, so that's not bad, combining with the Senna, and that would be the end of that. Lee Sin now, by the way, has completed his Black Cleaver, also with another Ruby. Gold-wise, so this will probably be Edge of Night, by the way, for Rek'Sai. It seems to be the popular build. But yeah, 7.4k, 6.2. Lee Sin in a 1.2k advantage, which is pretty good. Anything else worth noting with gold? Top lane, 500 gold still. Bot lane, big advantage for Caitlyn. Lee Sin finds himself a Kassadin with a Leona. Kassadin just didn't take any damage for a while. Lee Sin continuing on the Lux, who should take damage. Lee Sin does do the ward play. Gets himself the kill there. Lee Sin, can he get anything on the Kassadin? He goes down to Leona. Leona does die, though, to the Kassadin himself. And that'll be at the end of that. Which, overall, not bad. Especially if they can break over mid. But Wukong now heavy roaming. It does seem Wukong maybe like, you know, I have to get involved more. He's a pretty good team fighting champion. So instead of going back to top lane, Wukong is going to mid. And he does manage to get a nice kill there on... Well, I don't know if he got the kill or Rek'Sai got the kill, but obviously Wukong enabled the kill on the Senna, who has been struggling a little bit this game. Not overly, but just not... Well, Senna obviously scales as a champion, so it's going to take a while for her to kind of be like, hey, I'm Senna. And she can probably start doing okay damage. Dragon spawning soon. What soul is it? I guess it's Mountain. Yeah, it's Mountain Dragon. I should have known that because of the map changes. Technically, if you wanted to say, Mountain Dragon would probably be better slightly for red team because they have a Leona who's actually going to be building tank resistance items, where blue team doesn't have like a tank resistance person. It's obviously good for both teams. You don't want the enemy team to have it. Lee Sin looking aggressive. Riven Flash with then Leona ultimate, with then the Zoe damage over the top. The Lux does go down. Obviously, bad time to die because Dragon's coming up soon, and that gives a number advantage now to red team. Wukong returning, by the way, in top lane. Weird time to do that. If he was planning to group more, then maybe he should have been around for the dragon fight or the preemptive dragon fight. But no, he obviously has TP. But I think blue team are going to just concede this dragon now that they're at a number disadvantage. And Lee Sin's going to take the dragon, which is pretty good. Item build for Lee Sin, by the way. Not really sure where he's going to go from now. He could go Sterix, I guess. It just depends what Lee Sin wants to do. He's 8-1. He's 8-1-6. He's pretty damn fed, you could say. But he's not going to be building like full lethality and full damage because the honest answer is Lee Sin can't really get away with that because his damage will eventually fall off. That's just the way the champion is. So a lot of Lee Sins will have decent damage with Warrior, with Black Cleaver, but then will, you know, be tankier to make sure that they can actually use their utility later. Obviously, first Rift Herald got stolen. Second Rift doesn't get stolen. And there you go. So Rift Herald has been taken by Lee. Play potentially is looking to be happening. Maybe top side or, I don't know, the top tower. All outer towers of the blue team are dead. So really what they should be doing with this Rift is grouping and forcing the Rift on like tier 2 mid or something like that. Just to try and maximize it. Or if you've got your Riven versus a Wukong in a 1v1 top lane, Lee Sin ganks a Wukong, you kill him, and then you and Riven, the Lee Sin Riven, can then take the tier 2 top. But most likely grouping is the way forward. Again, naturally, Lee Sins never love having Rift Herald on them because it gets rid of their ward. He has 2 control wards for the reason of ward kicking. But yeah, it gets rid of his yellow trinket, so he can't actually do it with a free ward at the moment, which is obviously unfortunate. But he's going Death's Dance. Oh, okay. So yeah, Lee Sin going to go Death's Dance. Wukong invading. Not even sure who wins this fight. Wukong probably, maybe not because of just how strong the Lee Sin is. Lee Sin just going to continue the red. He's killing. Wow, that's really good patience. Kills the red and then goes for the Wukong after. That's really cool to see. Edge of Night has been complete by the Rek'Sai, as we mentioned it would be. Wukong, going aggressive. In the back foot. Lee Sin just not really taking that much damage now that he's got an Aegis or Aegis. Rek'Sai damage, not too bad. Lee Sin, I don't know if he predicted that or what, but he's going to find a Rek'Sai. Is going not to die. That was a weird way to say it, but didn't die. Enemy team pretty much all get wiped out by, apart from the mid lane and the AD right now. They are in the area, both on full health. What can be done? Senna in bot lane. Riven going to go a bit aggressive on the Kassadin. Lee Sin looking for the Caitlyn, but she's going to just stand on a trap, so Lee Sin cannot freely go for that Q. Riven going to do a bunch of damage. Lee Sin coming in the end, though. Now the Caitlyn's in trouble with then the kick into a Leona, into the Lee Sin Q, and the Lee Sin will survive. And they pick up a technical ace. And while that was a 4v5, that was without Senna, and the enemy team just surrendered the game. So that was really nice Lee Sin play. But I also wanted to say, like, there were, like, really good Lee Sin play here, but, like, there was no, like, insane mechanic-y flash kick. I really want to stress that point. I know I mentioned earlier, but you don't have to do that on Lee Sin. You can play pretty basic Lee Sin, maybe ward kicking, if anything. And that is probably, like, the most... It's like the most reliable way to play Lee Sin and climb. The risky way, or building full lethality in the early game, it's very risky. Obviously, it can work. You can get very fed. But this is the more generic way to play Lee Sin, the more standard way to Lee Sin, and it's the way that most good Lee Sins will play. But that is going to be that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will be back to playing League to obviously record technically the day that you're watching this. I will be playing more League and hoping to get more episodes recorded for you guys. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like Lee Sin, do let me know. But yeah, that was one of the best Lee Sins on the US. Throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.